senior one this Saturday. Saturday?
Yes, it's Saturday.
The event is being held at the Leon Manning Center and features a local speaker, Madison Foster. All proceeds support the NAACP scholarship. And this Thursday is the next film in our social justice film series.
Making a Killing, Guns, Greed, and the NRA tells personal stories from survivors of gun violence and sheds light on a billion-dollar industry that puts people's lives in danger. And finally, we've known from the beginning of Reverend Ma's time with us that they are our interim minister. They even have their walking stick up here as a reminder that their time here is limited. So we are in the process of searching for our next full-time contract minister. Please plan to stay after the service on January 28th to hear an update, ask questions, and provide feedback on the search for our new full-time contract minister. Also, there's a link to UCF's congregational profile in this week's wave and a hard copy on the bulletin board in the social hall. And search committee members, are you here today? We've got Miriam and I saw Sarah. Oh, there she is. She's in the quiet room. And the other members are Penny Hooper, Amy Jones, and yes, I said Amy. I did say Amy Jones and Tom Cullison. These are the folks to ask if you have any questions and thank them for their hard work. And now we invite all those in the sanctuary to silence their cell phones and all on Zoom to turn off your cameras to conserve bandwidth.
And now I invite everyone to please turn and greet your neighbor, say hi to someone you know, and better yet, someone you don't know yet. Today's opening words are by Laura Wallace. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, the sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Come, let us worship together.
Come, let us worship together.
I invite Joellen to light our chalice, the symbol of our shared faith. Today's chalice lighting words are by the Reverend Tom Goldsmith. Symbol of light and knowledge, symbol of warmth and freedom, we light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. And we light also our peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work, that peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. And now, every week, we also make some space and time to celebrate our joys together and lament our sorrows together. This is a spiritual practice. As a French philosopher once said, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We make meaning out of the things that happen to us. We tell stories, and this is a part of telling that story to ourselves and also to each other. And so in a moment, Megan will grace us with some beautiful music, or perhaps it's going to be Adam today gracing us with. We will be graced with some beautiful music. And I invite everyone to line up against the far wall over here and come around to the front where we have a basket of shells and stones and sea glass. And a little over a year now, when we dedicated this building, these stones and shells and sea glass were blessed by the people who came to dedicate this building. And so you are welcome to take as many or as few to represent what is on your heart and leave them in the beautiful glass chalice of water. You're also welcome to bless them when you put them in so that blessings can heap upon blessings and stay with us forevermore. If you have a personal joy or concern, please feel free to write it on one of those cards there and leave it in the basket, and I will read aloud any personal joys and concerns after I share our world and community joys and concerns. this stone is for the people of Japan who suffered a devastating earthquake on New Year's Day in our time zone. It was already January 2nd in theirs. Over 90 people were killed and hundreds are still missing. We pray that closure comes soon for those who are still waiting for news, and that comfort comes even more quickly. And this stone is for the 84 people who were killed by a bomb in Kerman, Iran. We condemn all acts of religious violence and affirm that the true message of any and all religions is peace. Life is hard enough in this world without us making it more difficult for one another. May all hearts be softened. May it be so. And this stone is for Perry High School in Iowa, where there was a school shooting on Thursday. 5 students, as well as the school principal, were shot and 1 was killed. We grieve the death of Ahmir Jolliffe, who was in 6th grade, and we ask why this must keep happening. Closer to home, Nancy Baggett, sister of Karen, will have her heart procedure on Wednesday. Please keep her in your heart. Vilma is traveling and so asks for prayers for safe travel and swiftness. And Janet, George, Hope, and Drew we want to share our joy of getting a new puppy, Asher, but we still miss our precious Bolt. Oh, and you always will miss Bolt, but we're very happy that you have a new puppy. Also, we do have some cards in the social hall for signing for Pat White, Tom Wentworth, and Linda Rudd, and Happy Eubanks, just to let them know that we miss them and love them. Now, will all please join me in the spirit of prayer. As we hold in our hearts and minds the consciousness of that great spirit in the universe, that which goes by many names, that which inhabits our hearts, as we breathe in and out, let us recall that what we breathe is the breath of life, and that a world in which all life can thrive is the world that we so deeply long for. A world in which all beings have inherent worth and dignity. A world in which help and comfort come quickly and without question. A world in which children can go to school and people can walk down the street and people can attend weddings and funerals without worry of violence or bombings. A world in which all life can thrive. We want this world so much it hurts, and it is because we are alive, and because we are alive, we love. It is in our very natures. And so as we breathe in and out, let our very breath be full of love. Let us breathe more and more love into this world, until the world is so full of it that there is no room for anything else. Breathe in and out all the love that there is, and we know that love is infinite. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. And now, we're going to sing out our very littlest ones. Children 4 and under are going to be sung out to the nursery. We're going to ask the big kids, the school-aged kids, and also their grown-ups to stay with us in the sanctuary to help us sing. You do have a bingo card in your order of service, and I did bring in some new bingo prizes today. Everyone is welcome to play bingo, by the way, not just the kids. So anyone who wants a bingo prize, bring me your completed bingo card after the service, and we can get you a prize. It's a blessing you were born, and it matters what you do. What you know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty you love be what you do, and you don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing I was born, and it matters what I do. What I know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty I love be what I do, and I don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing we were born, and it matters what we do. What we know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty we love be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. I invite everyone into a moment of silent meditation. So those of us who have been Unitarian Universalists for a while, who here's been Unitarian Universalist for, let's say, longer than a year? Okay, it's a good number of us. So those of us who have been Unitarian Universalists for a while are likely familiar with the 7 principles, along with the more recently added 8th principle, which this congregation voted to adopt last June. If you don't worry, we're going to get into it. Because we, and that's all of us as Unitarian Universalists, like all of us, not just the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship, are thinking about a big change in how we talk about ourselves. Instead of being united around a number of principles, which is what we have done for several decades now, we're going to start talking about ourselves as being united around a number of shared values. Now, the 7 principles can be found in the front of the gray hymnal, if you don't immediately know what they are. I'll give you a minute to look them up in the gray hymnal if that's a thing that you want to do. It's in the first few pages, like not the first page, but if you flip through the first few pages, they're on the left-hand side. And if you're sitting in the very front row and you don't have a hymnal, you can ask someone behind you maybe to hand you a hymnal if you want. So the 7 principles were, the principles were originally adopted many decades ago, and there weren't originally 7. Those of you who have been around in Unitarian Universalism for a very long time may remember when there were only 6 principles. And then we added a 7th one, and then most recently we added an 8th one, which isn't in the hymnal yet because it's so recent it's not even printed in the hymnal. Now we're talking about replacing the 8 principles with a number of shared values. Wow. There we go. And that may feel like a big difference. All right, so you can see in this graphic that we have a chalice symbol with love on it in the center, and then there's these sort of petals coming out of it, kind of like a flower, that say justice, interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, and generosity. Credit for the graphic goes to Tanya Webster of chalicedays.org, by the way. So in today's service, we're going to look for similarities between the principles and the values. Like, what's up with these new values? Are they replacing the principles? What's going on there? So let's start with interdependence. This is how interdependence is defined in the new Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, which is what currently contains the text of the 7 principles, along with the 6 sources and a few other things. So the new Article 2 states interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. So which of the principles does that remind you of? This is the participatory portion. The 7th. I'm hearing a lot of 7th principle. Yeah. So as we transition to talking about shared values, the principles aren't going away. They're actually just showing up in a new way, a way that we're hoping will be easier to remember and talk about and share with others. Because, guys, I'm going to be real with you. I'm a minister, like I'm an ordained UU minister, and I do not have the principles memorized. They're very wordy. Okay, like maybe this will be easier. All right, so let's sing hymn number 134, Our World is One World. And we can stay seated in this one. We'll alternate the whole getting up and sitting down. There's a lot of music. Verses 1 and 2.
Why not?
Oh, okay, can stand.
Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes, love or hate we make, a bridge for all.
All right. So, what are we going to tackle for our next value? Let's tackle justice. Wow. There we go. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large. So which principles do we see reflected here? Okay, so I'm hearing 5, I'm hearing 8, I'm hearing 2. Yeah, there's several principles that are reflected here, right? And you may notice at this point, now that we've gone over 2 of them, that a difference between the values and the principles is that the text of the values contain a call to action. They sort of define the term, as we view it, as Unitarian Universalists, and then also covenant to certain actions. So for interdependence, that action was to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation and creating and nurturing sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality, and justice. And for justice, the call to action is dismantling racism and all forms of systemic oppression and supporting the use of inclusive democratic processes. So these are suggestions for how to live our values out in the world. Let's sing our next hymn. Number 323, Break Not the Circle, verses 1 and 3.
seated. Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes and embraces all the living. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
All right, we're on a roll. We're getting into a groove. Okay, so next one, equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. All right, quiz time. Which principle does it remind you of? Yeah, I'm hearing 1, I'm hearing 2. Could also maybe be a little bit of the 6th principle, goal world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Yeah? Okay. And with that, it's time for another hymn. All right, this one's one of my favorites. 1051, We Are. We're not going to do the big repeat in the middle.
Each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and sons of great visions. We're sisters, mercy, and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Good job.
Yeah, love that one so much, just have to sing it all the way through. Okay, we're back to, the idea is that you should be very familiar with this image by the time we're through. Okay, next up, pluralism. All right, so pluralism is what I call one of those $10 words. You know, it's a word that likes to get dressed up before it goes out. The dictionary defines it as a condition or system in which two or more states, groups, principles, sources of authority, etc., coexist. Now, Unitarian Universalism is what is often described as a pluralistic faith. It's a faith in which lots of things coexist. You know, we have atheists, we have agnostics, we have Christians, we have Buddhists, we have Muslims, we have Hindus, we have Jews, so on and so forth. So the new Article 2 of the UUA bylaw states about pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. So which principles do we see in here? All right, I'm hearing the third from up here. 3 and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4. And I think there's also echoes of the first principle in here. You know, we all have inherent worth and dignity, right? And it's because we are all sacred beings. You know, it doesn't matter, right, what color your skin is, what language you speak, you know, what you believe, you know, what God you believe in or don't believe in, or what have you, you know, what's happened to you. You're still a sacred being. You're still a being with inherent worth and dignity, you know? And that goes for all life on this planet, really, like not just humans. So this value is about celebrating diversity, embracing it as a good thing, you know, not saying that we all have to fit one mold. And it's about learning to live together with all of that difference too, because the reality is that it's easy to get along when you're all the same and you all believe the same things and behave the same way. But it's much harder in a pluralistic society or in a pluralistic community where not everyone may believe the same thing. Not everyone may have the same politics. Not everyone may believe the same things or behave the same way, right? Because we were all raised in different ways and we all have different experiences of the world. And that's part of what we do as Unitarian Universalists, is learn how to live together and honor each other as sacred beings with our differences. So our next hymn is number 159, This Is My Song. We'll sing all verses, I think because there's only 2 of them.
And sing this softly as if it were a prayer. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my only shrine.
Okay, this is where we're going to start getting into maybe ones that are a little trickier. We'll see. So, let's do transformation. The final draft of the new Article 2 of the UUA bylaws says this about transformation. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically, Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. Okay, what principles do we see in here? Yeah, 3, 7. I hear people saying it with like a question mark, like 3, 7. Yeah. I mean, they have to do with spiritual growth. But none of the old principles, I think, really had us super committed to change, especially collective change and transformation. And, maybe that was a problem, because we have to change as individuals, as a collective, as a faith, in order to keep up with the times, in order to stay relevant. And there's a relationship, right, between growth and change. Because nothing that grows stays the same. A couple of us were talking about those trees that we planted out there in the landscaping when we first opened the building. And I think it was Joan who mentioned that there's little teeny tiny acorns now on that live oak. I haven't gone out there and looked for myself, but that's what I hear. And so, that oak isn't the same tree, isn't the same little teeny tiny sapling that we planted. None of those plants are. This congregation is not the same congregation that was founded in, 1981? 1981, Susan? 1980? Yeah, this is far from the congregation that used to meet, first in somebody's condo, and then in the Webb Library and the Galley Stack, and then on Evans Street, and now in this brand new building, right? So there is no change without growth, and there is no growth without change. So if you want to grow, you have to be committed to change, which is a scary thing. And you have to do things differently than you did before. You have to be open to ideas like changing out the principles for shared values. So next we're going to sing 1017, Building a New Way, verses 1 and 3.
This goes by fast, but we're going to stand and we're going to clap. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed our every need. We can feed.
Come on, guys, we got a deacon from the Black Church with us today. Let's not embarrass ourselves. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. All right, and at this point, I invite Wayne Fluellen, president of our local NAACP chapter, to speak to us about the NAACP Scholarship Fund. So every month, we split our offering plate with a local nonprofit or charity organization. And this month, we are sharing with the NAACP Scholarship Fund. And so Wayne's going to tell us a little about that.
Good morning, everyone. And Happy New Year to you. There are some people here I haven't seen in many a year. Hi, Susan. And again, good morning and Happy New Year to Reverend Ma, other officials. And I'm humbled and honored to be allowed to address you this morning. And again, my name is Wayne Fluellen. I'm the president of the Carteret County chapter of the NAACP. It's Unit 5478. We meet usually every month in the back of your sanctuary. And most of us already know this, but the NAACP stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. We've been around since 1909, and the Carteret County branch has been making a difference since 1964. Our mission statement is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate racial hatred and discrimination. It sounds very similar to your justice principle. I was paying attention. And then some of the songs we sang this morning is right on time with this little speech I have. The NAACP is not an organization just for black people. It's for everyone. And believe it or not, we're all colored. There's no such thing as reverse racism or reverse discrimination. Racism is racism, and discrimination is discrimination. It transcends all races. Therefore, we need to be mindful and come together in unity to truly stamp out all of this mess. So I appeal to everyone here to join the Carteret County branch of the NAACP and to stand united with us as we try to make our lives and the lives of our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren better. And as we know, the cost of continuing education is very high. These high costs can often deter our brightest and gifted students from pursuing higher learning. And we all know that every country's greatest natural resource is its children. It's not crude oil. It's not lithium. It's not gold. It isn't diamonds. It's our children. And our greatest natural resources are beautiful, talented, bright, outgoing, and ready to take on the world. Just remember, these are the same young folks who will be making the decisions about who will be taking care of us when we can't take care of ourselves. These future leaders will also be the ones writing legislation on how we are to govern ourselves in society. We must continue investing in our future. Someone once said, I may not be able to sit under the shade tree, but I still have to plant that seed. And my closing remarks are, I encourage all of us to plant the seeds of encouragement and support to our young people. Every dollar is appreciated, and every dollar goes directly to supporting our scholarship recipients. To date, we've awarded over $22,000 to eligible seniors from East Carteret, West Carteret, and Croatan high schools. We would love to increase the amount as well as continuing to help. I will thank you. And I want to thank you for all of your efforts as we raise funds for our future generations. We're going to help them get a jump start on their future academic endeavors. And again, I thank you so much for your continued support, and may God continue to bless us all. Thank you.
Will the greeters please help pass the plates to receive today's offering? Thank you. Please join us in blessing this offering with hymn number 402, From You I Receive. We will sing it twice through. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. So we practice generosity every week with Share the Plate. So that's one way in which we're already living out this value in the world. But there are many other ways that we can show generosity. So let's see what the new Article 2 says about generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. So this one calls us to share our faith, our presence, and our resources. It intertwines with that shared value of interdependence, which we talked about way back at the beginning of this service. Do we see any similarities with any of the current principles? Could be 2. Any other principles? 4, 7? Yeah. I think that there's some implications with the 6th and 7th principles, sort of having to do with building a community, being out in the world, the interdependent web, and maybe like our shared value of transformation, we need something that is going to commit us, something that calls us out into the world. Because one thing about the principles is that they're very sort of individualistic for the most part. They're sort of principles that you can just hold by yourself. Whereas these shared values are shared. They're collective values, and we share them with others. You know, I kind of like that this one calls us to be a little bit more evangelical as Unitarian Universalists. Oh, I know. There's this part I know. Tomatoes, rotten tomatoes being flung at me. But I mean, we could stand, I think, to be a little more bold. Okay, so this time we're singing. I know. Suddenly people are like, take your walking stick and go. Get out of here. All right, next up is 1028, The Fire of Commitment. We're just going to sing the first verse and then the chorus. Okay, we're almost there. Have we gone through all the values? Let's see, interdependence, justice, equity, generosity, transformation, pluralism. Did we miss anything? Oh yeah, love at the center, right? I know, don't worry, this was scripted. All right, so what does Article 2 say about love? Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Isn't it strange that none of our principles talk about love? You can look through the text. Isn't it strange that we are a faith tradition that has nothing in our bylaws about love? I mean, I guess people don't generally think of bylaws when they're thinking about religion, but all of our shared values are rooted in love. Love for each other, love for our planet, love for this faith, love for ourselves. So, of course, it makes sense to have love in our bylaws. Now, when I keep talking about our bylaws and Article 2 and everything, this is a final draft. It's not final yet. It hasn't been officially adopted yet because they need to be voted on at our next General Assembly, which will be fully online this year, by the way. If you'd like to be a delegate or even just attend General Assembly for funsies, yeah, Holly attended for funsies. I think she got a lot out of it. UCF has some scholarship money if cost is a barrier. We never want cost to be a barrier to someone living out their faith. Now for a little bit of what Reverend Micah did on vacation. So I had the wonderful opportunity to visit Japan a couple of months ago, and one of the cities that I visited was Kyoto, which has a lot of temples, like so many temples, just all of the temples. Oops, all temples. And one of the, sorry, keep going. Oh, no, one back. Okay, yeah, so this was one of the temples that I visited. It's called Kenninji, and it is a very important Zen Buddhist temple in Japan. And this photo I did not take any of these photos, but I'm notoriously very bad about taking photos when I'm on vacation because I just live and enjoy the experience and I don't take photos. And then later I have to look for photos on the internet of something that I saw and I'm like, well, any photo's quite right. So this photo is not a very good representation because it's actually a very large campus that has a lot of different buildings. But in the main building, okay, now we'll have the next photo. There is on the ceiling this huge, absolutely massive, it's apparently the size of 108 tatami mats, mural, I guess you could say, of these sort of twin dragons. Now, the thing you have to know about Kenninji is that Kenninji is 800 years old or something. Many of these temples in Japan are just extremely, extremely old. The United States is a very young country, and that's one of the things that I think you realize upon traveling to other countries that have a much, much longer history. And these dragons were actually installed in 2002 in this 800-year-old temple. This temple is a World Heritage Site. You know, it's a UN-recognized World Heritage Site, and it has this basically brand new art installed in it. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is sort of a picture of, you can see the main hall, and then there's the dragons on the ceiling. And like I said, this is a World Heritage Site, an 800-year-old temple with a brand new art installation in the ceiling. And I just thought that was so cool. It's so cool because, it means that this temple is not some sort of fossil that has to be preserved in a vacuum, that always just has to be exactly the same as it has been for 800 years, right? They installed this art because in order actually to commemorate the 800th anniversary or whatever of this temple, they were like, let's do something special, for the 800th anniversary. Let's put some new art in it. It's alive. It's part of the present, it's part of the now. And that's what of course I had to relate it to Unitarian Universalism because that's, minister goes on vacation, they're still thinking. And our gray hymnal is called Singing the Living Tradition, right? If you've been looking at the principles in the gray hymnal, you can go ahead and look at the cover now. It says Singing the Living Tradition on it, because that is what Unitarian Universalism is. It's not a fossil. It's not a relic that we put in a glass case to admire. It's alive. That's why we call it a living tradition. It's something that we shape and that in turn shapes us. And that's what we're doing now as we talk about and ponder this shift from principles to values. You know, it's a new century. It's been a new century for a minute, guys. It's 2024. We're almost 25 years into a new century. And with it comes a new Unitarian Universalism that responds to the needs of the now. It doesn't leave the past behind. What it does is it brings the past into the present and therefore into the future. All right, before we sing our final hymn, I'm going to ask Joellen to come up and help me put out our lights up here. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, en español, extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad, o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez. And now, Karen's going to lead us in our final hymn, number 354. We laugh, we cry, verse 1 only.
Let's stand. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something into which we belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. And most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer.
All right, friends, it is our tradition in this congregation to hold hands for the benediction. So if you're comfortable holding hands, please hold hands with the person next to you. If you are not, you can move to the center of whatever amoeba that we're going to make and just make it clear that you don't want to hold hands. Okay. I'm coming too. All right. All right. All right, friends. Let us commit and recommit ourselves to living out our Unitarian Universalist values in the world. Let us commit ourselves to transformation, to generosity, to equity, to pluralism, to, I have lost track already, to, I'm missing one, love, justice, thank you. Oh man, look at this guy, he's got them all already. Ooh. All right, let us commit ourselves to all of these things and be the change that we want to see in the world. Amen and blessed be, let it be so.
Amen.